Okay, so let's clean up our visuals here a little bit. One of the things we can start to do is turn these things off. So I'm going to start turning the previews off by right-clicking on them. And this is unfortunately a problem that we are having with the way we're using Revit right now. I'm just unconnecting the watch box so we can go ahead and just unhook it. We'll leave it there in case we need it again. And I'm just trying to go through here and hide the things that we don't need to show. Like we're not going to need the surface by patch to show. We don't even need the surface thicken to show. We can turn a lot of these objects off so they're not visible. Line by start and end point can be turned off. And you'll kind of see how this works by the things that are still visible inside of the final Revit file. Anyway, so that's the way you do it. You right click on it and it turns it off. We want the NURBS curve to still show. That was in the final drawing. The points by coordinate can be turned off. We don't need to see those any longer. And you can see how the box turns gray when we don't want them to show. And if we, I think if I click on something, it'll end up showing what's still left on the screen. I can rotate this around just to show you. All we have left showing are the NURBS curves. Although we still have those boxes, we're just not showing them. If I turn this back on again, there they are again. And I'm going to turn them off because we're going to make a solid out of them that we're going to directly send to Revit. So it's something that we can actually add characteristics to. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use a function called direct shape by geometry. And I'll see if I can find that in this list here. It's under the Revit functions. And I'm not having an easy time finding it here. So I'm going to just type direct, and it will help me find it. Direct shape by geometry. I'm not exactly sure. There it is showing you it's in Revit, it's in direct shape. I just didn't look down far enough. And by geometry, and this allows us the chance to export something that will appear as a solid object inside of Revit. So we need to answer a few questions to use this tool. Right away we can plug the geometry in, but it's going to turn yellow if we run it. It should anyway, because we haven't answered some of these other important questions. We need a material. We have to give it a materiality. And the way we do that is we can find a tool called Material by Name. And out comes oops, this is the wrong function because what should come out is a material name. Instead of putting a material in, it's actually the backwards function. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to type that in again. Material. And then it's still not showing up quite right. So I'm going to go a little further. And there it is by itself. So there was a cryptic way of getting to it, but that gives us an idea that we can put a name of a material and then get that material out. I'm going to plug that in. It doesn't have a value with it yet, but we're going to give it one. We're going to give it what's called a string value. So I'm going to type in a string is an alphanumeric set of characters. It's not a number. And we're going to use wood, which we may not have defined yet inside of Revit, but we'll take care of that momentarily. And I'll collect that in. And it's turning yellow because wood hasn't been defined. So what I'll do is I'll go to Revit, I'll go to Manage, I'll go to Materials. I'll save our project here. And once we've done that, we can now create the wood material. So I'm going to go New Material, right click to rename it, Wood. And then we'll search for something that's an appropriate wood that we want to use. So I'll go to the Appearance Library and look for wood. And I'm going to use, I don't know, maybe I'll use something to make it look a little different. We'll make it out of bamboo, a bamboo cladding. Dark, probably not what we want. Actually, I probably will just, it'll probably be way too ugly to do. So let's pick something light again that kicks some light around. We'll just do a birch. All right, so that wood is now assigned that birch texture. Click apply and OK. And this should correct itself. I'm not quite sure why that isn't. I don't think it's just because it hasn't run it properly yet. Let's just bear with me. I might need to do some work on that yet. But I think it's properly written. We also need to have a category. BIM products or BIM models inside of Revit like to know exactly what they are. So we need to give it a category. Categories. See if that works. And we'll be able to select like a generic model for this. It has a drop down. Probably doesn't actually matter what you would call it at this point. Feed that in. And we're airing out because we have some issue with our string. I know one material works all the time, and that's glass. So let's see if we can fix this. Still not working right. Material by name. I might have to pause the thing and find out what exactly I'm screwing up here. It does not exist in the document. Maybe we'll try glass to capitalize. There we go. So we glass is found. Let's try wood again because I know we made that material. And it worked that time. So it was just a matter of Revit, Dynamo seeing that. And we'll actually go to realistic so you can see that it's rendered in a wood tone. So we've been able to apply that into, so now these are actual objects that we can manipulate or at least visualize inside of Revit and render. So we've accomplished the idea of now having our ceiling tiles materialized, sized, according to our tool. And now it's a time to start experimenting and starting to create some context for it. And I'll look at doing that in the next clip.